Welcome to the call. Welcome to the call.
Hey, before we start, let me bounce in here. Kyle Freeman, do we know one another?
Yes, I actually used to teach for your brother probably about 12 years.
Yeah, but this is how far back you go, like in the 90s?
Yeah, so I started teaching with him in 96.
Yeah, what a
96,
small world. What a small
right?
world to live in.
Well,
Well,
I've followed you guys and Master Clark for a very, very long time. And yeah, since then have opened up multiple locations across the country, kind of branched out, did my own thing, but learned a lot from, the mass training and things like that. Because I know it was kind of regurgitated through Pat. So it was good stuff. It was good stuff. So
well,
you guys were teaming up together, and I was like, let me jump on here and always
well, you,
always look to learn new things.
well, sir, you don't have to follow. You can have a front row seat moving forward. So it's great to see you. Congratulations on your success. All right, it's
Thank you.
not an interruption. Go ahead. Let's kick this thing off. Go.
Well, I was gonna, all right. So, well, heck, Kyle, since you have your camera on, I appreciate that. What part of the country are you in?
I'm actually up here in
I'm
New
actually up
Jersey.
here in New Jersey.
Okay. And how
Okay.
many
And how many
locations do you
locations do
currently
you
run?
currently run?
Run two primary locations here in New Jersey, and I've got partnerships at a school in Plano, Texas, and then one in Central Louisiana.
Wow, that's nice. I've got a lot of family in Plano, Texas, and the surrounding areas there. Yeah. What's the school called?
Freedom Martial Arts.
Very
I'm
nice.
actually from Texas. That's where I was born. So that's where all
Wow.
my family was down there. And yeah,
Very
so
cool. Oh, that's great. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah, we're out there every year visiting and yeah, I love Texas. It's great.
it's a
All
little
right.
bit warmer than it is up here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Justin Revek, how you doing, sir? Can you unmute yourself?
Good. I did
Excellent.
not play with Zoom enough to figure out what I'm doing wrong, but
Well, that's
Well,
okay.
that's okay.
We're going to help you
We're gonna
fix
help you
that.
fix that.
yep, doing well.
So, what part of the
What part of
country
the
are
country
you in,
are you
sir?
in, sir?
Oh, I
Oh,
think
I
you
think you
muted.
muted.
Oh, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh,
Oh,
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
running one
only one
location or
location or
multiples?
multiples?
Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Ben
Ben
Rafael.
Rafael.
Am I saying
Am I
that
saying
right?
that right?
Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. What part of the country are you in, sir?
I'm from Canada,
Oh, wow. Different country. Welcome.
Vancouver area.
Okay. Excellent. And have you been plugged into any of the mass training materials prior?
No, this is the first time. I've been curious about it, and I saw this come up. I'm like, oh, I gotta check it out. So
Perfect timing. Perfect. Okay, great. Well, as this call fills up, we're going to go ahead and jump in. I want to welcome people that have their cameras on. I think the more people that participate, the better and more fun it becomes, and the easier it is for everyone to learn and grow. My name is Jonathan Peschke. This is Fred Mertens, co-creators of Mass Training, along with Grandmaster Clark and our Warrior Success System. You see also on the call here, Roman. He's our behind the scene guy and provides the marketing blueprints for the schools that work with us. It's fantastic. If you guys aren't using it, you certainly should. What we're going to do on this call today is basically do our best to help each and every one of you with whatever roadblocks or bottlenecks that you might have in place. This is a fun industry that we're all in, and everyone got into this business because they thought it would be fun and they thought they'd help other people, and they thought, oh, heck, I might even be able to make some money. And our specialty is the latter. Whatever you teach, you teach.
There you go.
The business practices, the operations and procedures, those are what determine if your business is still going to be around in 20 or 30 years, or do you have to maybe keep it around by having a full-time job, and that's not fun for anybody. So this is kind of like a master course for your business. And over the last 53 years, we've helped over 1,500 academies, Grandmaster Clark certified over 4,000 instructors, and literally invested millions of dollars to create the most effective way to build $1 million academy. So we'll be talking about different strategies, both on and off the mat, to help your schools be more successful. So during this call, we'll also drop some links in the comments where you can schedule a call with us if you'd like to find out more or have specific questions or be able to help you. Roman just dropped the link in there right now. So anyone that wants to click that can. I believe, Justin, we have a call a little bit later today. Is that right? Perfect. Perfect. All right. Excellent.
Let's keep
And-
going. Hey, let's go ahead and dive in. Hey, I got a couple of questions. One is, how do I get my leads to show up more consistently? Well, I've got a laundry list of things to consider. First off, one of the biggest missteps that's made in scheduling an appointment is you schedule it too far out. These leads and even these appointments have shelf life. My strong recommendation is you got to get people in within 72 business hours. Beyond 72 hours, people very seldom show. So that's number one. To get there, number two is you have to stress, you have to create a sense of urgency, a sense of scarcity. And as you learn the materials that we train people with, one of the things that happens on both the appointment call and the confirmation calls is we tell them that our classes are filled fast. And ma'am, I got to tell you, if you miss your class, there may not be room for your youngsters. That's an example of a confirmation call. So one of the things you need to do is stress the idea that, hey, sooner is better than later. And if people don't take immediate action, they're not going to make it. Number three, between the time you schedule an appointment, free, 2 weeks, paid trial, makes no difference. Between the moment you schedule an appointment and they plan to show up, you have to nurture that lead. There has to be some type of outreach. My recommendation and what will help you create is a private VIP Facebook page. This page is not about giving information to your students. This page is about informing your potential new students who and what you are. On this page, and we put them on the page when we schedule the appointment, but on this page are interviews with current parents who have their kids in the program, testimonials from people that have been a part of your program for years, sampling of what they can look forward to as far as a class. So one of the things we've got to consider, if you want your leads to show up, there has to be a degree of nurturing. In the absence of promoting this idea of what they have to look forward to, they don't show up. See, one of the things you got to remember is that most of us right now are marketing on Facebook. We're using an interruption style of marketing where mom is scrolling through her feed looking for some cat videos, and there it is, a cute little karate image. She thinks, oh, Tommy would probably look pretty cute in that white pair of pajamas, and she clicks the info. She was very, at a minimum, her heart didn't even race. She's only mildly curious. But when you reach out ASAP and connect with that person and are able to establish an appointment, keep in mind that the show begins now. The way you confirm these appointments, the way you confirm the day before, day of, and what they get to see of you on that Facebook page. And there's got to be some interaction. One last thing. If you want more trials to show up, you have to have more ways of connecting with them. Write this down. Here it is. Here's the trifecta. I want their cell phone. I want to be able to reach out to them through Messenger, and I want their email account. And on all three ways of reaching out, connecting with your potential new member who's scheduled for an appointment, you got to release the hounds. Let them know you're thinking about them. And don't leave it up to AI. AI isn't strong enough at this current day and date to just solely rely on that. Because one of the things you have to remind yourself is that we're not in the fitness business. We're not in the sport business. We're in the martial art business. And the way you care for your students is by developing a relationship. And for that to happen before they come in, there has to be a constant connection. You have to speak with them. They need to see what they have to look forward to. And this is how you ramp up their anticipation, which, again, has an enormous impact on their show rate. So that was the first question that was set out. But I want to dive into the second one before we go on any further, because I thought this was pretty interesting. How do I price my program? Well, first off, if pricing is a concern, you're probably not charging that much. Now, what I want everyone to write down to change your mindset about pricing is this. Stop thinking you have to be affordable and start believing you need to become valuable. Affordability is no way to run a profitable martial arts academy. And when I use the term affordability, you want to be like middle ground with all the other competitors in your community, or perhaps charge a little less. You can't make up in volume. Charging less makes you worth less. Listen, we live here in North America. And in North America, quality is typically based on price. The more expensive something is, the better it probably is. So here's the shortcut answer to whomever asked that question. Charge more than anyone else in your community. Now, listen, I can give you dozens of examples where someone came onto our membership and they were charging $99 a month. Now they're charging $199 a month, not because they're doing anything differently on the floor, but they're creating greater value with how they communicate with people, how they assure the parent how they're going to coach and guide their kid, what benefits are going to be gained through the program. They become better salespeople. That's the key to elevating value through your communication. So as far as pricing, take a shortcut to success. Charge more than anyone else in your community. I work closely with Grandmaster Clark in Jacksonville, Florida, and our entry-level membership, we have a tuition rate of $249. It's $249, $299, $349. He's the most expensive academies in all of Jacksonville, and business could not be improving any faster. More money simply means more value on both ends of the spectrum. Not only will your clientele be more mindful that you are a legit martial art academy, and you got to be good because your rates are more than everyone else, you're going to take this opportunity differently. Hey, listen, money does matter. And when people pay you more money, we tend to do more for them. It's just that simple as human nature. So by charging more money, you're going to ramp up your professional effort. You're going to do more to help people in your community find out about you. And once they come on board, be able to provide a level of service that's going to change their lives for the better. So as far as price is concerned, decide right now, you will be the most expensive. Stop thinking you have to make your program more affordable, less expensive, and start believing you need to make it more valuable. And the shortcut to making your program seemingly more value is to charge more money. This past week when I was in Jacksonville, I spoke to a Grandmaster instructor, and the gentleman told me that some of the studios that he works with, they charge a tuition rate of $497 a month. And after a pretty interesting conversation, I realized the only difference between the average martial art academy and that academy that's charging $497 per month is how they think about who and what they are and what they're willing to do for their membership, and what work and energy and effort goes into being better prepared to help people understand the impact your program could have. Because that's how you create value through your presentation. So across the board, charge more money, and watch what happens. Master Pesky, was there another question that came in?
Let me double check here. Don't see one right offhand. Looks like Ms. Harvey, were you popping up in there?
No, I
maybe-
mean we had some questions, I guess just about the Facebook marketing, but that's not really in line with this. But that was
Well,
our questions.
That's okay. What is your question?
I guess we were gonna have some kind of template that's already formatted that we follow, and then we just plug in like a photo of our own. We just haven't seen that in any of the material we've gotten, so I didn't know if I just wasn't looking in the right place or.
Okay, yeah, we have ads course in there. In fact, Roman, can you message her and help her with that, I guess? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And I mean it works. In fact, we have a client in Little Rock. And it's interesting because if any of you guys that are using it and you're not getting great results, go back through the training again, because we have a client in Arkansas and they're like, well, I went through the whole thing, I set it all up, and it's really not working very well. At which point we said, okay, well, let's go through it again and double check, triple check, make sure you have everything clicked just right. They did, and now they're getting 3 leads a day, and I think their budget's only like $10. Now, the cost per lead is going to vary depending on your area of the country and how many people are spending money to get those leads. Here in Sacramento, California, they cost us a lot more than that, but it works nonetheless. It works across the board. In fact, one of our guys in Virginia used to run an ad agency, and now he's running his ads using this template. So by all, follow the bouncing ball, and if you do it like it says to do it, you will get leads delivered to your box. So excellent. But here's the next thing though. There's online marketing. Facebook and Instagram is, in my opinion, the only place you need to be spending any money at the moment. Offline marketing, what are you doing outside of your academy to generate more leads? And of course, inline marketing, what are you doing inside your academy to generate leads? And all 3 of those need to be constant and never ending. I think as soon as you put all your eggs in one basket, you run a high risk of getting in trouble because we just don't, Facebook goes through its things. And I know that heck, probably everyone on this call has always embraced the idea if it is to be, it's up to me. So we're going to always make sure that we have a steady stream of leads from every source. And that way we're never held hostage to any one of them. So I guess, Ms. Harvey, what are you guys currently doing to generate leads?
So we do external marketing, like, so, have a table handing out passes.
Hmm.
Internal, we'll do like bring a friend events. We do any new enrollments gets they get 3 like free class passes, but then in addition, they get 1 to make it more valuable. They get 1 2-week pass. So
Okay.
they can give that to a special person that's serious about doing martial arts. They get 2 free weeks. And then of course we follow up with those. So because there's an expiration. So internal, we also do Google ads. We used to do Facebook ads like years ago. We had gone through what is it? Ninja, and it was awful. We spent a lot of money and didn't get a lot of results. So
Oh,
we haven't
no.
done that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty,
Well,
yeah. So that's it.
and that's one of the reasons why we've created this course so that you're not held hostage to an agency because unfortunately a lot of times the the agency, it's like an experience with a CPA. They start off gangbusters and then they kind of go into autopilot. And I think a lot of industries kind of do that, unfortunately. And I think a lot of the ad agencies over the years that I've used have kind of fallen that same thing. They start off promising the world, and then after a few months of service, you just kind of get handed off to somebody in the Philippines and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And so, but so you don't want to be held hostage to that. And once you understand how to build and create your own ads and that run successfully, well, if you want to pay someone to take that off your plate, hey, I'm all for it. Buy back your time. However, I'm not going to be held hostage to it because now I've done it and I know how it works and I know what needs to be done if it's not working right. That's the
For
big
sure.
difference.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what's so great is that that's what we were, hearing, which is how successful it was. I mean, the work's already done for us and it's working. I
Why
don't want
reinvent
to
the
waste
wheel?
time. Yeah.
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 Now, let me ask you something you mentioned, though. You said you give them all when a new person enrolls, you give them 3 passes and 1 2-week pass. Over the
Yes.
last 6 months, or the heck, over the last 90 days, has there been a net gain from that activity?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's not, I would have to say, since we implemented the 2 free week pass,
Mm-hmm.
we've had more referrals like come in
Yes.
than we did before
Beautiful.
with just the single like class pass, the free trial class.
Mhm.
Even on bring a friend class weeks and days, I think the 2-week gave them a little bit more leeway as to when they were able to like refer. So they gave them 2 months to use it. So they had a little bit more leeway as to when the person could come in. And
Nice
we
start.
have gotten a couple of enrollments from that.
Well,
But yeah,
and just from hearing the 2-week trial, the 2-week time frame does seem to work best, right? And I had a feeling that's the result you got. Why not, instead of give them 3 passes and 1 2-week for someone they really know is committed or dedicated or interested or whatever word you use? Heck, the truth is they don't know who might want to take advantage of it. Why don't we ditch the free pass and give them 3 2-week passes to hand out to the 3 people they love most?
yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I think the reason we
Especially
made it a single was to make it more valuable, but I mean, we're not anti changing things.
beautiful. I think change is good.
For
And
sure.
the truth is, if something doesn't work, you're not held prisoner. You could always go back to what you did before. And that's really
For
what's
sure.
propelled us forward. Because if you look at what's working, well, let's do more of that. But the
Right.
second part of it is, I would be curious to find out, what are we doing when they come in? Because if you look at the ad course, it does recommend doing a 2-week trial for $20. With a referral pass, a 2-week free pass, hey, I'm all for it. However, whatever marketing piece brings them in through the door, once they come in through the door, that has been spent. And it's our job to now give them a bigger reason to come back. And so one of the things that we're committed to is whatever brings them in, could not care less. We're going to treat everyone the same. And that means when they come in, we're going to take them on a well-orchestrated tour and orientation, and we're going to find out what they're looking for, how we can help. We're going to find out what it is they need for their child, and we're going to, as they say, widen the gap. And then we're going to provide a solution, and then we're going to invite them to take an action. And for that means we're going to invite them to enroll and use the value of that 2-week trial instead of using the 2-week trial. Heck, let's use the value of that 2-week trial to save you $125 by just enrolling today. And if I did a really good job connecting with them, identifying their pain points, providing solution, demonstrating it during our orientation lesson, and then I give them an opportunity to save money for getting what they want, you'll find, heck, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 people will take you up on it. And not only does that reduce the workload for you, because I don't have to chase these guys down for the next 2 weeks, you'll actually find that you convert many more of them because they'll never be more excited than when they first begin. Never. They'll never be more excited than when they first begin. So with our 2-week trial, they go through a 7-step enrollment process. And even at the booth, 7 out of 10 booths that we generate, that we operate, I should say, we're selling that same trial at the booth. Now, sometimes we're at a school or somewhere and they say, oh, we don't want to do, no money, no money. Oh, that's okay. No worries. In that case, what we'll do is we'll schedule lessons. Hey, we'll tell them everyone starts the same. It's our 2-week trial. As a matter of fact, for this school, we might be donating all the money back to the PTA. That's cool. I will happily give up the $20 because when they come in, we might collect $5,000. That's what I'm trying to do, is generate memberships, right? So the 2-week trial, hey, everyone starts the same. It's our 2-week trial membership. It's great. It's normally $20. Today at the school, we're donating the money back to your school as one example. And although I can't collect the money there, we can schedule the first lesson. We have families coming in to begin on either Monday or Tuesday, which is best. Perfect. We have a 5:30 or a 6:30. Which would you prefer? Outstanding. Now we'll call you tomorrow to go over all the details, make sure nothing is missed, and get you ready to take that first step towards one day becoming a black belt. Congratulations. Now they're in the pipeline. We treat everyone the same. Guess what? Tomorrow we're going to call them up and we're going to use that same phone dialogue we use as if it was a Facebook lead, only it starts a little bit different. Hey, it was a pleasure to meet you yesterday. Want to go over the details. We're going to get them into our VIP group. We're going to get the mom ready to be on the mat. We're going to collect the $20. I mean, it just works magnificently, and it makes it so easy for your team because they're not doing 500 different things. They might be doing a bunch of different things to get them in the funnel, but once they're in, we just treat everyone the same, and therefore they get really, really good. And here's something else. The very hardest sale to make is the first one, which is why such a low price point, $20, makes so much sense, because I can gain enough trust, enough likability, enough rapport for you to trust giving me $20. And now that first step has been taken. So now once you come into the academy, we can just build on that. So it's just a little bit different. It's sounds like it might be 90% the same as what you're doing, but that 10% can make a huge difference. So that's just one example of some of the trainings we take people through on how to have that conversation. So a person goes, okay, yeah, I'm in, thank you. And they graciously accept the offer. But I think, doing the 2-week pass, dynamite idea. And if it's working, do the one that works and double down on that. And it sounds like, I could be wrong, but it sounds like when they come in, you wait till the end of the 2 weeks, maybe not. But I tell you, the biggest impact, enroll them on their initial visit. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how well that works. And if they don't do it, well, then schedule their next lesson. We're not going to rip it away from them, but you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much easier it becomes.
Now, at the end of if they don't enroll then and they use the 2-week trial, they get a different rate when they enroll, or do you still give them the discounted rate?
Well, the rate, and it's in terms of monthly rate, that's the same either way. We help them save money on the front end by using the value of the 2 weeks. Like right now, if your current tuition, let's say, is $200 a month, well, then that 2-week trial has a real value of $100. So since we now know that this is going to be a great fit for your family, we don't need to wait 2 weeks. You see, Mrs. Smith, we use the 2 week trial as a way to assess and evaluate, heck, qualify, if you will, to make sure students are ready to begin a training program like ours. I got to tell you, we've been doing this for a long time. I can tell when a student's ready to begin. We don't need to use the 2 weeks. Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now, if they wait, if they don't enroll and I have to revisit it again and maybe again, well, I can't give you the full value of the 2 weeks because you've used it.
Right.
But we'll still help you get enrolled and we might do something else. But I'm not going to, I've got to do something else. Otherwise, it just comes across as insincere.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
here's the way you do it. In our presentation, we present the beginner membership, the basic program. We tell them there's an initial investment. So just follow me with you, if you will. Ma'am, normally our initial investment is XYZ. However, after what we saw tonight, there's no doubt in my mind that your family has found the right martial art academy, and we don't need to use a 2 week trial. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to apply the full value of your 2 week trial against initial investment, just a way to encourage you to sign up tonight. And I am so confident that this is the right membership. I'm going to match the money, saving you $250 for enrolling this evening. So what I've just done was I told them I was going to give them the 2 week value because they didn't use it. But if they do use the 2 week value and you're there after a few lessons, you can go ahead and use the match your money part. You know, Mr. Lewis, although I can't apply the value of the 2 week trial because we just used it, I can match that money. So for enrolling tonight, I can save you $125. So you can still go back and use a savings incentive. Now, if this sounds confusing at all, there is a dialogue that we promote that will take you through, just like just by allowing a person to understand from one step to the next, where's the money going? But here's what I want to warn you. If you allow somebody to use the full trial, they've just come up with a lot of reasons why not to enroll. See, keep in mind, enrolling martial arts is more of an emotional decision as opposed to logical. And if a person is using a trial, 3 classes, 2 weeks, whatever it is, the more travel time between classes that can concern a parent. The fact that the newness has worn off a little bit, perhaps an interruption will be allowed and they don't make a second or third class. But the reason we offer trials is so we can present them on their first visit, the very first time they come into the academy. The other question that popped in, we're going to change the topic, was family classes versus age-specific lessons. Master Pesky and I, 8-9 years ago, we made the decision that all of our studios in Sacramento would be 100% family-based. That means every single class, mom, dad, and the kids are in the lesson. As a result of doing that, several remarkable things happened. One of which, we were able to reduce our schedule from beyond 30 lessons a week to down to 12. And this 12 class schedule supports an active count well north of 300 students. So Master Pesky, would you share with the audience how we actually went from having classes segregated by age and rank to where now everybody shows up at the same time to have a great time?
Well, when we first started messing with the idea of it, we thought, well, let's try some things. And the first thing we did was we invited all the parents to get on the mat. And since we had classes segregated by rank and age, I said, for example, hey, Ms. Harvey, I know your kid's a blue belt, but adults are easy to teach. So just come to his class. And so we had the adults in the back learning the white belt material during the class for the blue belts. But pretty soon we realized, okay, well, if we continue down that path, we got more and more adults in there. I thought, well, why do we have to make it so separate? And so we thought, well, let's just try and put them all in one class. And when I first started my martial arts training back in '90, that was just the class. It was literally the class. And then everyone got into, the whole thing of having romper room type classes and stuff. And I never really even enjoyed that. I enjoy teaching. Kids are fun, but adults are easy to teach. So what if we just thought, let's teach an adult class that the kids can also participate in? And so then there's different iterations that came about until we landed where we are now. For example, we no longer line up by rank for a family class. We line up by height, because no grown man or woman wants to be lined up next to a 5-year-old kid. It's not fun. But if we have all the kids in the front, all the adults in the back, everyone can see, number one. I can see them, number two. And when we say turn and face your partner, you're facing someone that makes sense and you can have fun together. It also connects your people together, which was kind of a added bonus we weren't really expecting the way it did. And we see people on Facebook all the time going out to dinner, having family barbecues, whatever, with other families at the academy. And what's so fun about it is you can ask them, oh, I didn't know you guys knew each other. And they said, oh, no, we met here. We met here. Now, there's been a couple of school owners over the years with a severe scarcity mindset. And they go, yeah, but then if one of them quits, they'll all quit. Opposite is true. The opposite, I can ask one of the families, hey, where's the other family? Like, I've been calling them, trying to get them back into class. I mean, they actually assist and keep people plugged in. So let's see, what else? To get the parents on the mat, we had to do some things too. We had to make it easier for parents to participate. So we started facing away from the mirrors. And then we covered up the mirrors. And then we decided to go old school. And we just pulled the mirrors down. Now, some of you guys probably wince at that idea because, we used to love them. And the truth is, it's easier to keep everyone's attention if all eyes are on you. It's easier to get mommies on the mat if they don't have to watch themselves jump up and down in the mirror in a big blousy uniform. So when we did that, it was funny because well, why did you cover up the mirrors? Because I want you on the mat. What do you mean? So yeah, I want you on the mat and I want everyone's eyes on me. It's easier to teach. Now, what's crazy is over the years, all of our clients that have embraced this, they'll tell you, oh, I'll never put mirrors up again. And if you want to really be cool about it, tell them you've decided to go old school. Because there's not a dojo back in the day that ever had mirrors on the wall in the first place. That was introduced by the dance academies and then the health clubs. And that's, I'm not trying to be either one. We are a martial arts academy. So Ms. Harvey says, so you don't have separate instructors in the class. We run our family classes 45 minutes. We used to have a separate class for adults that was an hour long. 45 minutes is plenty. We did not, here's what really happened. As we started allowing parents to come to the class of their kids, our separate adult class started to shrink. And at the time, I didn't pay attention to where they were going. I just saw the class attendance number shrinking. I thought, oh man, why are all these people not coming to class? And so as I started seeing them earlier in the day, I asked them, what's going on? And they actually told me the truth. Well, it's just so much more convenient for me to come at 5:30 with Timmy. Plus, then we can go home and eat dinner and help him with his homework. I thought, So what actually ended up happening, a net result was retention skyrocketed. Now, if you came to Carmichael today, you see a class 40 to 50 people deep, and literally 50% of the class is parents. Half. In fact, on our rosters right now, we are at a 50-50 split. And when I say adults, I'm not talking about teens and adults, 12 and above. Now skip that. I'm talking about 30 and older, real adults. And one of the best things is, it's where your future staff comes from. We run multiple locations here, and half of our staff started off by drafting them into a family membership. So we don't have separate classes, but we can have multiple instructors for when we break into groups, but that's only a little portion of class. Because every class you teach today will have to have a warm-up. I'm sure there'll be a conditioning component. There'll probably be some kind of cool down or stretching component. There'll be a portion of class with their skill development. And if you needed to, you can break them into a couple different groups or have them do the drill differently. For example, white belts are doing front kicks. Maybe red belts are doing jump front kicks, but they're doing the same. They're doing skill appropriate or rank appropriate challenge. If that makes, in terms of classes, good question, T. Class will be at 5 and class will be at 6. And here's the cool part. It's the same class. It's the same lesson plan. If the class on Monday is going to do this, here's the lesson plan for Monday's class. If you come to the 5 o'clock family class or the 6 o'clock family class, it's the same class. It would be like if you had a tape recorder back in the old days. You just hit rewind and play it again. But here's what's really cool. When I was in my early days of doing martial arts, I, like probably everyone on this call, taught 5, 6, sometimes 7 classes a day. Now, 2, occasionally 3, and you can bring the juice, you can bring the energy. Every class is dynamic and outstanding because you don't have to pace yourself. You deliver a dynamite lesson and you're done. Mr. Burns, you got something?
Yeah. There's one thing we should add, and when people first hear this, a lot of folks when you hear it first time, you just have the impulse to push back. But one of the reasons why we don't have parents involved in our membership is that we make it seemingly too challenging for a mature person. And here's, let me say this, and I can only imagine that everybody has heard this. You've invited a parent to participate and they told you straight away, oh no, I could never do that. And you're thinking, well, lady, you're not that far out of shape. I'm sure you could participate. And then they drop the bomb. I could never get in front of people and test. Ladies and gentlemen, we heard that hundreds of times. And then we just consider just for a second, what if we removed the traditional day and date testing from our curriculum requirements to go from one colored belt to the next and kick testing in, no pun intended, once they get a senior rank like brown, red, and black belt? Will we be able to do 2 things, attract more parents into the membership and keep them longer? And yes, it worked. We don't test people. When I say we don't test them, I'm talking about we don't have a day and date where they show up, they line up, and they go through a rigmarole, and we give a pass or fail. We base advancement on one measurable moment, and here it is, a class. As I heard years ago, what you want repeated, it better be rewarded. So we reward our students for class attendance. And when you do this, what ends up happening is that more adults participate with their kids, but the class gets to train and work out, and you leapfrog over all the complexity of having somebody memorize techniques or combinations or forms. Allowing people to progress on the effort in class is the key ingredient to get more families involved. And as a result of that, you'll have more adults. And as a result of having more adults, you may have an additional reservoir of potential talent you can pull from to help you with your staffing issue. Our average age employee in Sacramento is 38 years old. Now, that's not that we're a bunch of old fogies. No, we've attracted a lot of parents that decided this is their thing and have joined the team with us, and our lives have never gotten better. Now, but let's get back to the non-testing. When I say non-testing, it doesn't mean that if a kid shows up and flops around on the mat, we award that. No, we don't. As a matter of fact, if you want to control students, you get a better behavior on the mat, tell them, students, just because you're in class doesn't mean you get full class credit. I'm going to keep an eye on all of you. And if I don't think you're giving me your absolute best, no class credit for you. I mean, I'm being kind of playful about it, but this is how you energize the class. But there's one more thing I want to add about not having color belt tests. You don't have the distraction. See, it's my observation that testing interrupts business. You know, most of us on this call, I bet you have testing cycles, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it happens to be. But if you really look closely at what you do in preparation for testing, you're going to realize you distract yourself from business. It's been my observation that on average, 2 weeks out from your testing date, the staff shifts their attention from enrolling people, upgrading people, and they put all their energy in getting the students ready for testing. So you're not doing normal business. And then you have the event, it's a dog and pony show, and everybody's happy. But after testing, haven't you noticed there's always a real decline in attendance, about a week or so? So if you step back and look at it, regardless of the length of time you use for a rotation of your curriculum, you're going to lose about 3 weeks of focused energy built in your business. Well, if you're testing 4 times a year, that's 3 months a year you're not paying attention to your business. So by removing the color belt testing, not only does it allow you to help more people stay steady on their attendance and progress, including parents, it allows you not to be distracted from your day in, day out business. Now, when people hear this, they go, well, heck, are you able to charge testing fees? No, we don't charge testing fees, but there is a certification fee required. So that's just a little play on words. But if you choose, you can still advance people through rank and collect a certification fee. So I just wanted to add that. So when people hear about this class dynamic and aiming in the direction of more families, it's not offering 1 or 2 classes a week. It's by making every class available to mom, dad, and the kids. And sometimes you got to make some adjustments as far as the net result, and that is the progress of your students by maybe removing the testing requirement through color belts and awarding what you want repeated, and that steady attendance, because that is the key to retention. I just
Here's,
thought,
here's a good analogy of that. Let's use Mr. Master Freeman here as an example, since he's on front and center for my screen. Master Freeman, I'm going to go ahead and guess at the end of a 12-month training regimen, a student's probably going to be about a green belt. Is that true or false?
Be about false. We have senior ranks that are in there.
Okay,
And we do it on
so
12 week.
So let me just ask it a little differently. What would a student be at the end of 12 months?
rank wise.
Senior orange.
Senior orange. Okay. Well, the way we have our program outlined, they would be like an entry-level green belt. You know, we have a green belt with a white stripe. So you're senior orange, my beginner green. There you go. End of 12 months. Now, here's the crazy part. If you're doing day and date testing at the end of 12 months, they're going to look like a senior orange, I would assume. And if I were using your rank system at the end of 12 months, my students would look like a senior orange too. The difference would be I'd have a whole lot more of them. Can you guess why?
Because they're overcoming that fear of getting in front of people.
Yeah, it just made it easier for them to get there. Absolutely.
You're not putting a barrier of them having to perform on a certain day, on a certain time, leading up to it. So it would be just the progression, which is constant over the course of the 12 months.
Exactly. I'm making it easier for the parent. I'm making it easier for the child to gain the confidence that I promised to teach, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you think about child development, and that's the way I kind of look at our belt ranks. Very, very early on in my career, my instructor said, a white belt's like a newborn, a yellow belt a toddler, a green belt a little kid, a blue belt a tween, a red belt a teenager, and a black belt's like an adult, right? You're growing up through the ranks, and there's different levels of responsibility at each rank level. Well, that makes sense. Same thing with our kids. A toddler, you got to do everything for them. I'm sorry, a baby, a toddler, you teach them not to put their finger in the light socket. A green belt, they start school. A tween, they've got responsibilities. A teenager, they better do what they're told, right? So why are we treating newborns the same as we treat teenagers? It makes no sense. That'd be like taking a 5-year-old and letting them know they're responsible to get into for taking their final exam. That's going to be part of their grade, right? So we thought, well, what if we remove the things that get in the way, the memorization, the day and date testing, and, what if we made it actually about the training? When Roman was little and in elementary school, I helped coach his basketball team for like 8 years. And there was tryouts that were had to decide if kids were going to go on comp or rec, and which way they went. Then you taught them the plays for that team that they could handle and perform well. In martial arts, we do it the opposite. Well, everyone's got to memorize this play, whether it's appropriate or not, and then we promote people all too often, based on whether or not they memorized to turn left or right, which has nothing to do with their skill development, really. But if we took away all the, I'll call it nonsense, although it may be offensive. I mean, I grew up doing the same thing. But if we take away all the memorization component and make it about, I know what my goal is. It's very clear. My goal is to get everyone through 300 lessons so they are prepared to pass a black belt test. My goal is not to prepare everyone to test for a yellow belt in a few months, or to make sure that, my goal is not to have the best orange belts on the planet. My goal is to develop an army of black belts. We are a black belt academy, which means at least 40% of your students should be wearing a black belt. If we're a black belt academy and there's 3 of them, you're not a black belt academy. You're not.
So when we talk about teaching, we're not necessarily talking about teaching individual technique or forms or combination, but we're using what Grandmaster Clark calls, and that is teaching standards. Mm-hmm. Like are the base stances paid attention to? Is weight distribution important? Is everybody moving at the same time in the sequence? So what you do is, instead of, again, weaving in those components of memorization, you put in stricter standards as far as how the class moves. And that by itself changes everything for the better. It changes the experience of the instructor. It certainly improves the experience for the student. But even to the untrained eye, it looks like a martial art class because people are developing their strength, their flexibility, their cardiovascular endurance, their balance, their sense of timing. And when you train for standards as opposed to train for a test 8 weeks out where you got to memorize a whole bunch of Weiji Bongo moves, you create a better martial artist. And that's the goal. The goal is to create a martial artist. Because I want to point something out. A lot of us hold on to what we learned, but what we learned was never designed to scale. You know, I've been doing this for many decades, and way back in the olden times, if you had 60, 80 active students, you were the king of the hill. I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s. Where now if you have 60, 80 students in a commercial storefront, you might be broke. So what happened 30, 40 years ago on the mat does need to be modified so we can be more effective and efficient in helping a larger number of people. Remember, we're in the group instruction business, not the individual class. You know, so bigger classes are better for everyone. And when you remove the element of memorization, you can grow the class size and everybody gets an ample workout that they're anxious to get back and do it again. There was one more question, Master Pesky, but that would take longer than what we have remaining to answer. So why don't we open up the call for any questions or concerns or comments from our audience?
And as we do that, I want to point out, Eric Myers said the number one fear people have is public speaking. You're absolutely correct. And yet we're going to take mom 9 times out of 10 who has been deconditioned. In other words, she hasn't worked out in the last 30 years, probably 30, 40 pounds overweight. We're going to put her in a big blousey uniform, make her jump up and down in the mirror and say, by the way, we're going to test and grade you in front of a panel of judges here in about 7 more weeks. And we wonder why they don't want to do it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's train them for 300 lessons, build the know, like, and trust, rapport, develop the skills, build their confidence so that in 2.5, 3 years down the road, they want to test because they feel like I'm ready. Yeah, great. All right, so questions, concerns, anything that pops into mind.
I have a question.
Yes.
As far as the timing, right? We recently moved into a place. It's pretty small. We're trying to figure out the timing. Well, I know you guys said 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7. Is the 5 to 6? Is that like 45 minutes, or just the issue between the parking situation? We don't have a lot of parking, so do you guys tend to leave like a 15-minute gap in between, or 30-minute gap, or anything like that in between the classes so they don't create conflict?
We do. You know, and there's, depending on your situation, your setup, it's not a must do, but it is something that we do. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then as far as that,
Go ahead.
I think you guys mentioned that you have, you know, some guys that are charging $4.95 a month. That's still within a 2 to 3 times a week curriculum, or is that like every day, or?
No. If you have someone coming every day, they quit first, unless they're like one of us on this call. Because everyone on this call is the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Too hard
To
to
answer
find.
the gentleman's question, that there are tuition structure where it's based on number of times they come to class.
Yeah.
But you know, I wish we could get to a point in industry where one size fits all. We're all changing the same thing. I charge the same thing. Isn't it interesting that coffee does it? The grande size coffee you buy in Denver at a Starbucks costs the same as the green bean. There's no regulation in our industry, and that's why it gets kind of janky. But there are some of the schools that we work with, and we can help shape this. Matter of fact, the schools in Florida that I help manage, it's based on attendance. Where if a student comes 1 to 2 times a week, it's $249. If they come 2 to 3, it's $299. If they want to enjoy what's called a unrestricted schedule, that doesn't mean they can come every day. That means they can pick and choose what up to 4 classes they can come to. That's another $50, so it's $249. But this is another conversation about pricing versus showing up for lessons. But one of the things you got to keep in mind is that when you're concerned about delivering great classes, you got to be concerned with the number of people on the mat. Bigger classes are easier to teach and serve as a better method of engaging people to have enough confidence to sign up at the end of their very first visit. You can't call yourself an enormous success as only 4 people on the mat. However, if you got 54 people on the mat, it's easier to sign people up.
Well, just to go off of that a little bit, because we are limited on the space. Do you guys have anything tailored for maybe more high ticket, like private group training instead of maybe like a couple $100, like maybe a couple $1,000 a month?
I'm not sure what your question implies, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a guess. Is there an upper echelon program where you can collect real money from people? Absolutely. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it through private lessons. Whenever I hear people talk about private lessons, what it typically means is I want to charge this student more. You might want to change your thinking. What if I told you, in a matter of an hour, I could teach how to present a membership where you would enroll somebody for 144 months at a tuition rate of $299 per month? I'll do the math for you. $43,057. What if you could sell that membership? And there are some people on this call that have collected single installments of well over $20,000. So whenever I hear private lessons, what it typically means, hey, I need a way to make big money faster. Well, just become a better presenter of your offers and ask for real money. Am I right about that, though? When you think about private lessons, you think of a way of escalating your monies by doing something a little bit more exclusive. But there is
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head. It's just the only thing I was thinking is like, because we're limited on the space so much. It's not a very big place. So 50 people, it'd be kind of tight with that, maybe 30 at the most.
Well, then I got to ask, what's your average tuition rate?
Average 200 a month.
Well, that's not enough then. If you knock it over 300, you can decrease your count by 30%. And that leaves some of that congestion. Hey, I look forward to speaking to you in the future. I just got the buzz that we're out of time. So I want to thank everybody for being on this call. And also, in preparation for these calls, any question is not off the table. Just if you're not able to send it to us in advance, when you pop on to this call, just hit the chat and type in your question, and we're here to help. All right, so go ahead and sign us off, Master Pesci.
I was gonna say, I want to give a shout out because I know Eric booked a call. I know Justin, we already have a call scheduled for later today. Congratulations. Ben, is it Rafael or Raphael?
It's Raphael.
Rafael.
Raphael technically, but old school calls me Raphael. So I'll answer up to both, sir.
Okay, no worries. Well, we look forward to helping you guys grow your academy. And you know what, the truth, 2025, I am so optimistic about 2025. There's a lot of really great stuff coming, and to have you guys join our tribe of people that are really thriving in this industry, because this industry is meant to be, if you do it right, it's easy, lucrative, and fun. Okay, and we call it alphabetize, and we didn't create that, but boy, we'll sure use it because it fits like a glove. And when you do this business right, that's exactly what it is. And if you talk to any of our clients, they'll tell you firsthand how this has just made a miraculous difference in their lives, where they went from this daily grind to they're just having fun, and they're, as cheesy as it sounds, they're living their best life. So I look forward to talking to you guys on the phone. Have a great day. We will not be doing this call next Monday, but we'll pick it back up in January on the 6th. So everyone have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we'll see you soon.
All right, God bless. Bye-bye, all.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.